If I had to move my own family to South Surrey or White Rock, these are the only three neighborhoods that I'd consider. Because here's the thing, not every so-called family-friendly area actually feels that way once you're living there. You can look at all the stats, read all the school ratings, even drive through on a sunny weekend and still end up in a neighborhood that doesn't fit your lifestyle. It's too quiet, it's too busy, it's too car dependent. Not enough kids around, no real community vibe. And the worst part is, by the time you figure that out, you're already locked in with a mortgage and trying to make it work. That's exactly why I made today's video. These three neighborhoods don't just look good on paper, they deliver the kind of day-to-day lifestyle that makes family life easier, more connected, and honestly, just more enjoyable. Stick around until the end because I'm saving my number one pick, the one I'd choose for my own family, for last. So if that all sounds good, let's get into it right now. You only get one chance to buy or sell your next home. Let's get it right. Worth mentioning, my name's Darren, a realtor serving the White Rock and South Surrey area since 2007. I've helped hundreds of families make this exact decision, including many who first met me and my team right here on this YouTube channel. If you're thinking about making a move, feel free to reach out. There's no pressure, just local advice to help you make the right move for your family. And you can find the link below to get in touch with me and my team in the description of this video. Okay, now before we get into the first neighborhood, I want to give you a bit of context on how I actually made these picks because a lot of thought actually went into this video. I went into this assuming that money wasn't the biggest barrier, not because budget doesn't matter, of course it does, but because I wanted to focus on what actually makes a neighborhood great for families. Lifestyle, layouts, schools, green space, community, safety, all that stuff, all the things that you can't change once you move in. That said, I also haven't purposely picked the most expensive areas either. In fact, every one of these neighborhoods has a range of price points. So whether you're looking at a larger detached home or a more modest entry point, there are usually options within each of them that work for different financial situations. Most of what we're talking about today is going to lean towards detached homes, just because that's the dominant type of housing in these areas. But if you'd like me to put together a video on the top three areas for families based on townhomes or condos, let me know in the comments. I'd be happy to break that down too. For today though, we're going to keep the focus on these neighborhoods and what they actually offer for family life, and I'll give you a general idea of prices as we go as well. So first up is South Meridian, and if walkability isn't your top priority, this neighborhood really shines for families. What makes it special is how centered everything feels around the center of the community, which is the elementary school, South Meridian Elementary. It's right in the heart of the neighborhood with wide fields, big play areas, and safe, quiet residential streets leading straight to it. It's the kind of place where parents still feel comfortable letting their kids walk or bike to school. This area feeds into Earl Marriott Secondary, which offers Friends immersion and has a strong reputation in the area. So the good news is that you're covered on both ends of the school journey. Now, in terms of housing, you're going to find a great mix of traditional detached homes. No monster builds here. Think ranchers, split levels, and well-kept houses in the 1,800 to 2,200 square foot range. These are mostly homes that were built in the 1980s, sitting on generous 7,000 to 8,000 square foot lots, which gives you room to breathe and space for the kids to actually go out and play in the yard. The current benchmark price is around $1.5 million, but you can often get in closer to 1.3 million if you're open to a home that needs maybe a little bit of TLC or some cosmetic updates. For many families, that's a great way to get into a long-term neighborhood at a more approachable entry point. It's also not overrun with traffic. The streets here are pretty calm and the lots here are mature, and there's a real sense of people staying long-term. You see pride of ownership almost everywhere you look. Now, I will say, as I kind of alluded to, it's not the most walkable spot when it comes to maybe walking to like shopping or coffee shops. Most errands do need a short drive in this area, but South Meridian Park is right nearby, and it gives families another great outdoor option beyond the school grounds. And here's a local tip, because the homes here are a bit older and the soil tends to be heavy clay. Perimeter drainage issues can pop up in these detached homes. It's nothing to panic about, but it's one more reason why working with someone who actually knows the area can make a big difference when you're buying a home. You don't want surprises, especially for something like perimeter drainage, which can be really expensive. What stands out most to me about the South Meridian area is how settled it really feels. Whenever I show homes here, there's this quiet hum of family life. Kids playing in the front yards, bikes leaned against garage doors, parents chatting on driveways. It's not flashy, but it's real. And for a lot of families, that's exactly the kind of neighborhood that they're looking for. Before I get into the next community on our list, if you're even thinking about buying a home in BC, you're going to want to grab a copy of our free PDF, 21 Grants and Rebates for Home Buyers. We've pulled together every federal, provincial, and niche program we could find, packed it with links, insider tips, and quick ways to save money on your next purchase. It's totally free, and this document could save you thousands. So the link for that to get it is in the description below. So go ahead and go download it right now. Next on our list is Crescent Beach. And if you are craving that true small community feel, this one is special. Crescent Beach isn't just a neighborhood, it's a vibe. And I truly mean that. Like, it's a little pocket tucked away on the water, and it feels completely different from the rest of South Surrey. Part of that is because it's protected somewhat from overdevelopment. Things like the floodplain, older infrastructure, and limited services have kept it from being overbuilt, which families here see as a good thing. What you end up with is a walkable beachside village where locals genuinely know each other. Kids run into their friends at Camp Alexandra or the local coffee shop, and there's this unspoken rhythm to the place that just feels slower, but in a really, really good way. The elementary catchment is Crescent Park, and for high school, you're looking at Elgin Park Secondary, both really strong schools in the area. And the drive to either is pretty quick and easy. You're not going to find a lot of kids walking to school from this area, but the trade-off is a setting where life happens on foot, whether you're grabbing ice cream, heading to the pier, or letting your dog run wild at Blackie Spit. It's a great dog park, but it's also one of the only areas in the Lower Mainland where you've got a fenced-off area directly with access to the ocean where your dog can go play on the beach and go for a swim. Outdoor life is a huge part of why families move here. Between the Crescent Beach Swim Club, which is like ultra exclusive and can be very difficult to get into. When families get into it, they don't tend to leave. But if you can get in, do it. You've also got sailing lessons or a sailing club here, the dog park I mentioned, and walking trails. It's a dream for active families. You're right on the water with views, sea air, and that real vacation at home type of energy. As for homes, every lot, house, and street has its own personality. There's no cookie cutter feel in this neighborhood. You're going to find small post-war bungalows, custom builds, older beach homes, and everything in between. Basically all detached homes. You're not really going to worry too much about finding condos or townhomes in this neighborhood. But there is something for just about every price range. The average price right now in this neighborhood is just over $1.7 million, but you'll see homes ranging from the low 1 millions up into luxury territory. And I mean luxury, depending on the size, lot, and the finish. The streets here, they're pretty calm, tight-knit, and have a true neighborhood feel. It's common to see kids walking to the beach together or entire families out riding bikes after dinner. And here's a few local insights for you. Once people move to Crescent Beach, they tend to stay. I've helped clients search across all of South Surrey, and when Crescent Beach makes their list, it's because they're not just looking for a house, they're looking for a lifestyle. And this is one of the few places in the Lower Mainland where that still exists on a neighborhood level. Now, as you can imagine, this neighborhood also gets incredibly busy in the summer, and some residents during the summer months can feel a little displaced. And another important thing to know is because this area sits in a floodplain, there are some unique considerations. If you're planning to rebuild down the line, you'll need to work within height restrictions set by the city. And while it's not a deal breaker, insurance costs in this area may increase over time, especially for waterfront or low-lying properties. It's just one more reason why having someone local in your corner who knows how to navigate those details really matters. All right, and it's time for my last pick in my favorite neighborhoods for families in all of South Surrey and White Rock. And that last pick, that top pick, well, it's Ocean Park. Now, I've got to be frank here. I might be a little biased towards Ocean Park because I actually grew up in this neighborhood, and that was so fortunate and so lucky I was able to do that. The crazy part, though, is that it still looks and feels almost exactly the same today. There's something about Ocean Park that makes it feel more like a village than a suburb. In fact, there used to be a restaurant here. I actually worked there to deliver pizza for them called Ocean Park Pizza and Steakhouse, which is now called the Ocean Park Village Pub. And that name has stuck for a reason because it really does feel like a village. This isn't a place that's changing fast. There is some development happening, but it's tucked away from the hustle and bustle, surrounded by water on most sides. And the closer you get to the heart of Ocean Park, the quieter it gets because you're driving away from all the busyness of downtown South Surrey and White Rock. Now, if you love mature trees, established homes, and that true community vibe, this one's pretty hard to beat. The streets here are calm, completely walkable, and full of families who've been around for years. Some of the homes date back to the 80s and 90s, mostly detached, sitting on 7,000 to 8,000 square foot lots with wide front yards and real space between neighbors. Again, another local heads up, those big, beautiful trees that make this area so special, well, they're protected. And a lot of people move in to this area thinking that they can just remove or trim whatever they want. But Ocean Park has some pretty strict tree protection bylaws, and even work on private lots often requires city approval. Again, it's one of the reasons that this area still feels so lush and green, but it's something buyers should know before going into it. In the neighborhood, you've got two great elementary school options, Ocean Cliff and La Ronde. But let it be known that La Ronde is a French immersion choice school in the Surrey School District, which means that they're not bound by a catchment. Basically, anyone in Surrey can attend La Ronde as long as they reside in Surrey. The spots here, though, for kindergarten are won by a lottery system, and for incoming students in grades 1 through 7, they need to be currently enrolled in a French immersion program to even be placed on the wait list. Regardless of whether you get your kids into La Ronde or Ocean Cliff, though, both are well loved by local parents. And like Crescent Beach, this neighborhood also feeds into Elgin Park Secondary. One of the great things about this area is you're also just a short walk from almost all areas to Ocean Park Village, with its little mix of shops, cafes, and essentials. So there's just enough walkability to make errands or outings feel easy without sacrificing the peaceful, tucked away feel that defines the area. And you're going to run into mostly locals in this area because it's kind of out of the way for most other areas of South Surrey. The average price in Ocean Park for an entry-level home tends to be about $1.5 million. But depending on the home, you'll see options starting in the low 1.4s and climbing from there. There's also been a wave of newer homes coming into the neighborhood. So if your budget allows, there's also a great mix of newer, kind of bigger, more modern homes that are available. Most homes are traditional in style in this neighborhood. There's not a lot of oversized builds, and there's lots of long-term ownership here, which is always a good sign for families looking to put down roots. Here's my local take. Ocean Park is one of the few areas left where you can still feel connected to nature and community at the same time. It's not super flashy, it's not fast-paced, but it's a super cool, almost little beach town, little village, like I said earlier, full of charm, full of families, and full of homes that feel like homes. Now look, when it comes time to choosing the right neighborhood for your family, local knowledge really does matter. On paper, lots of places check the same boxes, but when you actually walk the streets, talk to the neighbors, and see how people live day to day, that's when you start to understand what makes these communities different. And that's exactly why I make videos like this for you, to give you the inside scoop that you won't find on a real estate app or a glossy brochure. So if you're planning to make a move and want real advice from someone who knows these streets firsthand, from South Meridian to Crescent Beach to Ocean Park, feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to help you figure out where your family might feel the most at home. And before I let you go, if you're looking at townhomes instead of detached homes, you're in luck, because the next video, the one coming up next, is all about the 3 best townhome complexes in all of South Surrey and White Rock. Whether you're downsizing, maybe just starting out, or just wanting something more low maintenance, I'll break down the top picks and who they're best suited for. So hit that next video. It's coming up right now, and I'll see you over there. There are more townhomes going up in South Surrey and White Rock than ever before, but not all of them are worth your money.